live on purpose, because when you look back and on your life, you can say you did and you accomplished your dreams, right? I think like that's one of my key points, just starting. That's something that we preach constantly on our channel. If you've never picked up a miter saw before, or if you've never rolled out a wall and just painted a wall, just do it. I mean, it brings such gratification when you can say that you've done something yourself, or that you created something that you wanted and you didn't wait for somebody else to do it for you.
Without Fear of Her Future podcast is for women who are passionately pursuing financial freedom, using multiple streams of income and real estate to accomplish their goals. We are here to empower you to be brave, dream big, and design a life that you love that inspires others to do the same. I am Teresa Todd, founder of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and author of the book, Without Fear of Her Future.
And I'm Melissa Baker, your other co-host. I'm a real estate investor and fitness coach specializing in turning properties from drab to fab. I'm here to help motivate and inspire you to build your dream life because, girl, you deserve it. Today, we're talking to Brittany and Korey from Follow Us Home. They're a married couple from Florida who took their love for DIY and their impressive social media following to create a thriving home renovation business. We can't wait to hear how these two have used social media marketing to grow a business and how all of our DIYers can follow in their footsteps. Welcome, Brittany and Korey.
Hi.
Hey there.
So happy to have you.
And we're so excited to be here.
We are so glad you're here. All right, welcome. Let's jump in with you sharing a little bit about both of you for our listeners.
Okay, so Korey and I are in our early 30s. We both are obviously parents and we both have full-time jobs, but we also love to DIY and create a space that's both functional and pretty. And we started a while back because we had to, just out of like budget constraints. So recently, we were convinced by some of our friends to start an Instagram and just kind of share our journey as we went. And that's kind of where everything just took off.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So what was your very first piece of property that you purchased together?
Yeah, so our first home that we bought was in 2010. It actually was a condo. And it's crazy to think about it now, just because it was a very, like, to a small home. We were starting a family. We were young and pregnant and newly married. And that mortgage was almost unbearable at a whopping $400 a month. And so, but it was a new build condo. And so, like most new builds, it didn't really have any character. It was just like a blank canvas. And we knew in order to make it a home that we wanted, we would have to, maybe get some secondhand pieces, turn those into things that we actually wanted. And I would say that that's kind of where the DIY bug was born. We bought some secondhand furniture and created a nursery for our son back then, and slowly did that throughout the rest of that house.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so you have the design eye, and then Korey, you just make it happen. Is that right?
I just make it happen. Yep. She blinks and it just appears.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Can you talk about how it led you both to clarity on, what you are meant to do this together, and has it been difficult working together?
It's definitely had its share of blessings and share of difficulties, of course. I think, being a young married couple, like, the odds are kind of stacked against you, especially when you have a baby coming into it. And so I think, like, we obviously dealt with, like, our share of struggles just in our marriage. And so honestly, like, I would say that it was in the last 2 years that we really, like, started to just challenge each other and encourage one another into creating a home. Like I said before, it was definitely something that we were already doing, but it was just one of those things that I think, like, after so many friends and so many family members were encouraging us and telling us, that we were talented, that we started to, like, really believe in ourselves. And once we did that, then we created Follow Us Home, and every single step in this process, as starting with social media, like, the house stuff was always there. It just was never amplified the way that it was once social media was born.
Yep. And I think the challenging is she's a dreamer up here, and I'm more of like a realist, kind of come here today for the day. So we kind of like meet each other in the middle. So she shares her dreams, and I'm like, oh, I can maybe make that happen. So yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it makes it some things challenging and other things fun.
Yeah. So working together as a couple, can you guys talk a little bit about some of the challenges and the blessings that come with that?
Yeah. So often, when you're working on a project, you find, like, imperfections, and when you're DIYing something, especially for the first time, you're really learning as you go. And obviously, like, the projects that we've taken on for clients are more of the things that we've already done. And so we feel more confident, obviously, going into somebody else's home. But when we're doing things for ourselves or for specific collaborations, right, through, like, our social media, I tell Korey how he needs to do it, because I've watched YouTube videos that tell me that this is how it should be done. And Korey is very excited.
No, yeah, just envision me on top of a ladder trying to, like, reach the ceiling corner, and she's like, that's not really how you're supposed to do it.
Or like working on a pantry, and him, like, just finishing the shelves, and then I'm the person who brings in a level to make sure it's all straight.
Yeah. That was a fun time. That was great.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not redoing it. And she says, you have to redo it. And so it becomes fun.
Yeah.
So what kinds of things are you doing yourself? Like, give me an idea of what is it? I mean, like cabinets you just mentioned. What other things are you doing?
Yeah, so we've done flooring and wall treatments and wallpaper, and we kind of call ourselves the finishers. We do everything from the wall in. We've also painted, like, a full exterior twice. We haven't done that. We've built a table. We've built furniture. We've painted furniture. And then we've also created a welcoming environment from nothing.
That's
so
awesome.
Completely overhauling a home. Yeah.
That is awesome. Wow. So you're doing it for yourself, and you're doing it for other people, and you post all of this on social media so they can watch it, like, as you're the whole process.
Yeah, that's kind of what we do. And it's been kind of organic, really, in how it's brought customers to us.
Yeah.
Because, naturally, like, they see something, we try to be as relatable as possible when we communicate, like, what project we're working on and why we're working on it, and why we need it to be more functional for our lives or for somebody else's. And oftentimes that same reason that we are creating function in our lives or somebody else's is a need. Like, it's an obvious need for other people. So
many other people are like, oh, I need that too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know that putting yourself online can sometimes be scary. Have you dealt with, like, those negative Nancys that want to put the negative comments on? And if so, how do you deal with that? Or do you have some pretty nice people that are cheering you on?
Good.
Honestly, we have naysayers, and honestly, it just kind of comes with it. So we recognize like that there are going to be people out there who don't like the color green, or who want to be upset because you have a bigger pantry, like whatever the case might be. But honestly, like any feedback is good feedback because it does help you in the algorithm. And so we try to look at it as a positive most of the time. And sometimes like I encourage them to just be kind,
That's awesome. And I think that's it. When you're building an online following, you just have to know that that's going to come with the territory and not take it personal and just leave it at the door and just thank them for the algorithm.
There you go. Talk about this. Can you talk about how you scaled your following and how you found leads on social media?
Yeah, so actually, like formally, I'm not trained when it comes to interior design or like home decorating, but I do know quite a bit about marketing just because that's what I studied in school. And I'm lucky enough to work in it. However, I obviously graduated about 10 years ago. And so social media is a lot different than it was when I studied it in school. So I think just like being able to constantly evolve and like look at trends and like what is trending. I won't say that there's an easy way to grow on social media. I would just say being consistent, being relatable, and creating relationships with other content creators to help support one another has been some of our biggest wins when it comes to just having a good amount of engagement and encouraging, I guess.
For sure. And I think the biggest thing is to be true to who you are. So I'm naturally comedic. So I'll find trends and then like try to make fun of it or do something like that has our stamp on it.
Yeah. I will. Korey is really funny, and he's really nervous right now. So, I'm like, babe, you're always on camera. It's just usually sitting in our home and doesn't really feel like anyone's looking at us. But honestly, like, so some of like his funniest moments that I've caught on camera are him making fun of me or making fun of a trend that he doesn't even really think is funny, honestly. And so it's just been fun to like see him and acknowledge like we're figuring it all out together.
I love it. I love it. And the fact that he's funny and you have this natural design, but he can make it happen, and you have that marketing background. That's incredible. So a huge shout out for making this happen.
Yes. And Korey, I can totally relate to you. I'm very new at being in front of the camera as well, so I can relate to that nervousness.
Well, thank you.
So what do you do when leads, if they do not come through social media? Do you have another way that you're finding your customers?
I mean, a lot of our leads have come from social media or have come from word of mouth marketing, right?
Friends of friends.
So we recently did a bathroom with like floor, ceiling, and then floor behind us, shiplap. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, I want that bathroom. And our friend is like, oh, well, they did it. And so again, like your work, it just speaks for itself. And I think, honestly, when you're doing something that you really enjoy to do, it doesn't ever feel like work, and it doesn't ever feel like you're really like marketing too much because you're just being who you are. Yeah. And it's just been it's been a big blessing in Korey and I's life to feel like we're stepping into what we're made to do.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Are you only doing it right there in Florida where you live, or are people bringing you things, or are you traveling out, or are you staying pretty local?
So we've traveled out for a few friends and family members as far as Colorado and Texas. But we have also mostly done a lot of stuff locally. I also, like I said, I do work, and my boss happened to see our Instagram channel and now has me designing, like helping design our surgery center and designing the pediatric dental offices that I work for. So like that's on another level or scale, I guess. So adding surgery center to my docket has been a fun accomplishment too.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah,
good.
nice.
Okay, so what is your like the favorite thing that you've done? Tell us about that.
I would say it's
I know, because it's probably my least favorite.
it probably was our pantry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we joke because honestly, in DIYing stuff, like when you're learning how to do it, often you do it twice.
Do it twice.
And so our pantry was one of those. But our pantry has been one of the most requested and highest engaged post and project that we've ever done. A lot of people want to hire us to do their pantry. But I cannot preach function more than anything. And so like we do have 2 small kids now, and having them know where things go and being able to grab their cereal, like it's just so functional for our lives, but also for other people's whose pantry we do. So
And
I would
it's
say
on social media, so we can go check out your pantry on if we follow
For
you
sure.
on. All right.
And
I can't wait.
we're low key in this pantry. It had backsplash tile, it had a countertop, it had electricity for all of the components for like your coffee. We have a coffee maker in there, custom cabinets.
yeah,
But it was
it's a whole ordeal.
It was an ordeal.
So
I
if you
can't
wanna
wait to
come
see it. Yeah.
Check that out for
Okay,
sure.
I have to tell y'all this. I understand whenever you say like it's the first time and then you have to redo it. So my mother was a do-it-yourselfer, and she just made things all of the time. And I always got the first one. And it was never the best one. I always got, I mean, it was a kind of a joke. Mine compared to everybody else's that she would gift them, we just always laughed because sometimes mine was, it was lacking, and then they
It's
just got
learning curve.
nicer with every single one. So
But it was so full of love.
it was so full of love, and I appreciated it.
So can you guys walk us through the process of how you typically design and renovate a property or a room, a space for a client?
Yeah, so normally that's like my role, right? So I have our what are they called? Who we're doing the job for?
Client.
Our client.
There we go.
I'm sorry, words are hard. But I have our client put together like an inspiration board on their Pinterest, or they send me pictures of like kind of what they've been dreaming of, what they want. If there's specific color palette that they're looking at, or if there's a specific piece of furniture that's going to go into the space that we need to incorporate into the design. And then I ask them, how do they want that space to function? Whether it be a nursery, whether it be a drop zone or a bathroom. Like obviously in any space, you have a function that needs to happen for that room to serve you well. And so once we identify all of those things, I create what I would it's a mood board. And basically I incorporate the paint colors we intend to use, the specific design elements, whether that be shiplap or board and batten or hooks, whatever kind of metals I'm planning to use. And then once we've come to a consensus of they like the mood board that we've presented to them, sometimes that might be the first round or the second round, then we start the project. We obviously quote it out and then we start.
Then it's Korey's turn.
Then it's Korey's turn.
Yep, that's where I come in.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, what is the biggest challenge that you have both faced that you had to overcome doing this business together?
I think that it's still current because we both still work full time. We are not doing this full time yet. That is obviously like a challenge because it's hard to be parents and work full time, and then also, have this huge burning desire to kind of step out on your own and create something and write your own paycheck one day, right?
That's right.
So we're right now kind of still in the middle there where we're like, you know, like we know where it's going to go. We're not 100% there yet. And so it's taking like all of our manpower to just give every effort that we have of free time and designate it toward, you know, our dreams.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I'm excited for y'all. And hey, y'all are talented. You need to look at like flipping a whole house next.
It's on our wish list.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
All right.
It's on our list. So we're hoping to maybe buy another home someday, turn it into an Airbnb, but flip it and make it something special for our family, but other families to enjoy, and then maybe start house flipping and all of that, right?
Yeah. You're a natural for that.
So talk to us about where you go from here. You just said flipping some houses, maybe quitting your day jobs. Are those your goals? What are your goals for this year? And then where are you taking those?
So obviously we just bought our third house. And so one of our goals is to get into that house because we have been like just working on it. We're changing out all the floors and doing like, you know, random things to it that we'd like to do before we move in. But then I say we really want to start our blog and have a stronger blog presence because that is where, you know, money can start just like pulling in that's more passive, which would then allow us to step away from our current jobs and have, you know, kind of a backup plan with that. And then, you know, again, potentially just buy some rentals, have that income coming in, and then, you know, bring function to people's lives, design other people's homes, maybe from the build to, you know, the beginning of a build.
Yeah.
That's definitely where like I'm leaning. Korey he's just so great because he's like, Brittany, you live your dream and I'm going to support it.
Oh,
Literally support it. I'll build it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to be following y'all. I want to see what you do. I'm so excited. I mean, you're stepping out there, especially as a young couple, and just doing hard things, and it's paying off for you. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
So we always like to ask our guests for 3 takeaways. So what 3 things would you advise maybe someone that's wanting to start a new business like you, entrepreneur, who is looking to be brave and grow, or perhaps they're feeling stuck where they are?
I think living on purpose, right? Like live on purpose, because when you look back and on your life, you can say you did, and you accomplished your dreams, right? I think like that's one of my key points. Maybe just starting. That's something that we preach constantly on our channel. If you've never picked up a miter saw before, or if you've never rolled out a wall and just painted a wall, just do it. Like, I mean, it brings such gratification when you can say that you've done something yourself, or that you created something that you wanted and you didn't wait for somebody else to do it for you. And then I think the last is, it's just amazing when you realize that your dreams that you had become your reality. And so that all goes back to being purposeful and being in the moment and making sure you're steadily chasing what it is you're passionate about.
Being intentional.
Yes.
Oh, that is so amazing. I love it. I love it. Can you guys tell us, where can our listeners connect with you online?
Yeah, so we're on all the social media channels, specifically TikTok and Instagram, but we did recently start a Lemonade account, and we're going to start being better about posting on our Facebook and YouTube. So any of those channels, and then one day when our blog is up and running, we'll be there too, and that's followushome.co.
Followushome.co. All right, y'all write that down. Let's follow them and let's go check out that pantry.
Oh, this has been so great. Teresa, I want to hear what your takeaways are from today's episode with Brittany and Korey.
You know, my takeaways, I love when somebody steps out of their comfort zone and they do what the typical person doesn't do. And that's what this couple did. They, even though they have all the excuses in the world with the family and full-time jobs, they still went out and living their dreams. And man, I love that.
That is so good. You know what? I love how they talked about, or how Brittany talked about function, and everything she does is around function, because we tend to, I think, go towards design and style and looking like what's out there, what's new, what's modern.
But it's not very functional.
It's not always functional. And I love that little tidbit.
Do too.
That was
I
so
do
good.
Too.
So good.
I want a cute closet, but I also want a functional closet.
Absolutely.
Things. Well, thank y'all again for being here. So wonderful.
Yes.
Oh, thank you for having us, really.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, if you're so quiet.
If you have not subscribed to the Without Fear of Her Future podcast, then hit that subscribe button today for new episode reminders. We release new episodes every week, and we want you to come along the journey with us to hear from women who are doing extraordinary things, and men on occasion.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network and Teresa Todd, I'm Melissa Baker, encouraging you to be brave and dream big.